people who want to apply, there's this notion that there's not really a lot of funding or scholarship in non-STEM fields. What are your thoughts and what are your advice for others who are in non-STEM and who plan to study abroad?
Yeah, so usually I have been spending some time, a lot of time on Twitter. That's the main social media platform, and LinkedIn, that is where I normally go. And consistently, I see professors posting, we have opening in our department, we have this, we have that, we have this, we have that. And the caption I add is, professors are looking for students, students are looking for professors.
Professors.
There is a call. Who will answer? Right.
Okay.
So I never knew my school would have waived the GRE.
Okay.
I never knew there was scholarship. If you don't ask, you don't know.
Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Barbara Aboagye, and my goal on this channel is to help you in the admission process to study abroad, either on a fully or partially funded scholarship, or even to self-fund your studies. I did not leave you there. I also share with you tips and advice on how to thrive in school as well as living in a foreign country as an international student. In today's episode, I have with me Gabriel, who is going to share with us his journey on how he was able to study in the US on a scholarship. So, without wasting much time, Gabriel, can you introduce yourself?
All right. Greetings, everyone watching Barbara's channel. My name is Gabriel Kenny. I'm a third year doctoral student in the Educational Research and Measurement program here at UNCG, that's University of North Carolina at Greensboro.
Okay, so tell us like your background
Right.
and
So,
your academic background too before for now.
all right. So before I came to the US to pursue doctoral studies, I had my master's degree in monitoring evaluation from the Christian Service University College in Kumasi. Then I had my bachelor's in sociology and geography from the University of Cape Coast, the University of
Okay.
Choice. And obviously, the University of Choice. Yes.
Choice based on what?
Choice based on choice, the right choice.
Okay, I will not argue with you on that. And how does this link? Because now you are doing something in education, right? How does your previous background link to what you are currently studying?
Yes. So my enrollment on the program stems from my years of experience working at the University of Cape Coast as
Okay.
a research assistant in the Academic Planning and Quality Assurance Directorate.
Okay.
Yes, so within that, in that directorate, I was working with the professors to monitor and evaluate the academic environment in the university, and I've been
Okay.
doing that between from 2011 until 2022 when I left for my studies. And so I've been in the academic space for that
Okay.
time and looking for a program of study to further my studies. I found something that was within the education space and I thought was really relevant to what I was doing and which I wanted to continue. And so it was easy for me to jump onto the program.
Okay, so this is interesting to know. So, from my understanding, your admission to University of North Carolina, right, or University of
At
Carolina?
Greensboro, yes. So
Okay,
University of North
University of North
Carolina
Carolina at
at Greensboro.
okay, University of North Carolina at Greensboro. So your admission to University of North Carolina at Greensboro was not based on your previous academic background. It was rather based on your working experience over the years, if I understand correctly.
You are partial. I would say you are partially right. So the admission requirement involves a combination of professional and academic experience.
Okay.
At the time I was applying for the program, I had a good mix of either side of the requirement. And so I would say they all can play a role in me getting admitted.
Okay, that's great. So let's go right from the start. How did you hear of the program, and why did you choose the US?
All right. So I would say that I have fancied studying in Canada.
Okay.
While I was in undergrad, I was like, okay, I want to go to school, and Canada was top on my list. So I did apply to some schools in Canada, which I got turned down, unfortunately.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Can I know the school? So I'll call them like, why did you do this to him?
Yeah, so I did. I applied to Minnesota, what was it? Manitoba.
Okay, Investor Manitoba. Okay.
Yes, and I applied to Alberta. I
Okay.
was, yeah. So for Alberta, the professor said she didn't had funding, and so she wouldn't want to bring me on board without any funding, which was okay.
Okay.
Yes, so that's fine. So um, in terms of application, it all started, I would say, on Twitter.
Okay.
I got to know about the program through Twitter. So in 2019, early around somewhere February, March, I saw a post from a professor at a university on using social media for graduate students. I mean, teaching students to use social media for academic work. So I commented that I had a similar experience using social media for evaluation capacity building in Ghana. And so we she sent an invite for us to chat about. She wanted to know more about what I did.
Okay.
So that's how we started the conversation. And I searched for her. I went to look for her name, got to know where she was teaching, and I read through the website, got to familiarize myself with what we were doing. And so the conversation continued over a period of time until somewhere October when she asked about my plans. But then I was in the final year of my master's degree
Okay.
doing monitoring evaluation in Kumasi. So she asked about my plans, and I told her I want to further. I want to do PhD. She said, "Okay, you can apply to our school."
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, very nice of her. And I was excited. She went further to connect me to one of the current students she was working with to help me through the process. But when I looked through the requirement, GRE was the major barrier because in
Okay.
terms of the other requirements, I had everything.
Okay.
Conference presentations, research experience, publication. I had all that, but I didn't have the GRE, which was a requirement at the time. So I couldn't apply that here. I tried to learn, but it was hard for me. So I stopped somewhere along the line. So fast forward to 2020, I reached out to her again and said, okay,
Wait, so with the first one you didn't apply
I did
because of the
not.
GRE? Okay.
Yes, I told her I didn't have the GRE, and so I need to prepare. So you should give me some time to
Okay.
prepare myself and then see what I can come up with. But I failed. I
Okay.
couldn't. I just couldn't. Yes, because
Okay.
combining family, work, academics was tough to add a GRE to it. I started, but I
Okay.
couldn't sustain the momentum. Yes. So I reached out to her again in 2020, early part of the year, and said, okay, I couldn't go through the GRE. Is there any way it can be waived for me
Okay.
to, yes. And she said, yes, you can do that.
Okay.
So, yes. So she asked, I applied for a waiver, which was granted, and fast, I got everything through. Yes. So that was how I got to know about the program. That was how I got my admission process was like getting to know the professor through social media, Twitter, which was unusual. And because people use social media for all kind of things, and so yeah, it's unusual for me to get to know somebody from nowhere who was interested in working with me based on what she has read about me or heard me talk about. So that was my journey into the program.
Okay. That's great. So, did you have to pay for an application fee? And how
Oh,
long was the duration?
oh yes, I paid application fee. I think it was about $60 at the time.
Okay.
Yes. So all through the period I was preparing, from
Mm-hmm.
the time I finished my first degree, I was preparing. I created a separate account that every month I I did standing order instruction
Okay.
that once the salary comes, it goes there straight, and I'm not able to touch it. I created that account with Fidelity Bank. They call it Personal Investment Plan (PIP). Oh, they call it Flip.
Okay.
Flip, yeah. I had two. So I had a PIP, personal investment plan with ADB, and I had a flip with Fidelity Bank. So this account was what I used to finance my master's degree.
Okay,
So
that's great.
when I finished the masters, I kept the account going. I didn't stop it. So when the time came for me to pay for application fee, I didn't have to break my back to get the money because I had it already there. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I like the fact where you were always thinking forward. It wasn't like one day you just woke up and like I wanted to study abroad. Like it was always a thought you had had and you had worked towards it, and that's great. So now let's go into the admission. To after you no before that, tell us your did you graduate with the first class? Did your grades affect you in any way? And finally, when you were ready to apply, did you still have to have an interview with them? Did the university what was like the documents you needed to apply?
Yeah. So the documents were any other documents that you need to apply. So your
Okay.
passport first. Um, so if you don't have a passport, you need to get a passport.
Okay.
I got that one in, and then my academic records, my undergraduate certificate and transcript, my master's degree certificate and transcript, and then some other program evaluation related
Okay.
courses that I've taken. I had one from GIMPA. I added
Okay.
all of those. Yes. So I added all these back to my email to her, my very
Okay.
first email. Yeah. So when I was writing to her in 2020, whether she has vacancy for new students, I attached all these documents. So she
Okay.
already knew about me and probably had discussed with other faculty when they were deciding on the number of people to admit. So she had
Okay.
she had my CV, she had my all my transcripts and the certificate courses that I have done, everything. And basically, these are the things that I uploaded when I was applying. So your academic records, your CV, and all that.
And did you have to write the IELTS exams?
No, I didn't have to. So English profit language requirement was waived for English speaking countries, which Ghana is part of it. And so what I did was to get an English proficiency letter from the University of Cape Coast.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
That that's great. So now we've done the before application. Now let's do the once you got admitted, what did it entail? What did your scholarship package entail?
Yeah. So before I'll comment on the scholarship
Okay.
package, one thing that was left out was the transcript verification process.
Okay. The WS. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So I did not do WES.
Okay.
I actually did my certificate verification when I had started the program.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So they gave us options. The email came for us to do that. And so you can submit your application without WES
Okay.
or having to verify your transcript. So I had all those things, and that was not a barrier to admission. It's kind of not a major requirement,
Okay.
even though it's yes. So it was the last thing that I did when I had started the program.
Okay. That's good to know.
So the university has there were links to WES, there were links to Spatran. So the university uses Spatran, which was cheaper than WES. So
Okay.
I opted for that one, which was about $100. I think within 7 to 10 days, 7 to 10 days, it was I had it ready in my email, which I uploaded. So that was that. And in terms of the scholarship, I received the admission letter first.
Okay.
That was in January 2022 and 2021. Sorry, I received the admission letter first, and later, about some 4 months later, I received the funding letter, which
Okay.
specified how much I was going to give. So the the admission letter indicated that they will communicate funding decision later in the year when they have an idea of how funding issues are going to be like. So it didn't come together. I had to,
Okay.
and you know how that waiting period is, because your life depends on it. It was really hitting hard. Yes.
Is this a normal process for American universities to get admission letter first, and afterwards you get, or you don't know?
I have seen other places where students got the admission letter with the funding
Okay,
included,
attached. Okay,
attached, yes. But in my case, I don't know for other students in the department,
okay,
but in my case, I got admission letter first, and later the funding this letter also came. And so um, that I was supposed to fill the statement of funds,
okay,
yes, and I couldn't do it because I didn't know how much funding I was going to receive.
okay,
So when I received the funding decision somewhere in May, late May to June, early June, then quickly I filled that form. And on that form, there is a box that you check whether you have been given assistantship or not.
okay,
And so from the admission letter, I knew I have been selected for assistantship, which is also called a scholarship,
okay,
but I didn't just know how much.
okay,
So when the funding letter came and it spelled out how much I was going to be funded, the scholarship value, I ticked that box. And
okay,
so, yes. And after filling that box, I wrote back to the university, to the department that, okay, now that you have given me the scholarship, how much do I need to show proof of funds for?
okay,
Because it was about $40,000 at
okay,
the time. And so I couldn't, there was no way I was going to be able to pay that. So after the department replied, and I was to show proof of funds for about $1,500, so a little over
okay,
$2,000.
okay,
So that was what I presented a bank statement for. And for that one, I didn't have to go to people because when I received the roughly 40,000 bill, I went around asking people for help. I mean, to get me statements because I didn't have it. But after getting that letter which said how much the scholarship value was and knowing how much I needed to show proof of funds for, I was okay and I was able to do the rest on my own.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So if I understand correctly, the scholarship package was 40,000, or the school fees was 40,000.
So the scholarship, the school fees, they will give you an estimated
Okay, yeah,
fee of how much it will cost you to enroll in the program.
okay,
Right. So that was it. So after having that estimate, which is called a proof of funds,
okay,
right? Then I asked the university, okay, this is the scholarship value you are giving me. Now, how much do I need to show proof of funds for?
okay,
So the university, the department deducted the scholarship value from the estimated,
okay, okay,
and I was able to show proof of funds for a little over $2,000.
okay,
But
okay,
it is advisable. One of the advice I got from the student that the professor connected me with was always show funds a little above that amount. And so if you have to show proof of funds for like 20,000, go for 25 or 30.
okay,
And so I didn't show 2,000. I did more than that.
okay.
Yeah.
So my question again, because when you say the proof of funds, it's is the proof of funds including your living expenses plus your tuition fee, or just your tuition fee?
Yeah, so the proof of funds is your tuition, your transportation, and all those expenses, the university fees, your medicals, and all those expenses that are included in your fees.
Okay,
Yes, so all those detailed expenses on how much it will cost you accommodation and all those sort of things.
okay. So for your university, when they give you that estimate, they include all of them. They include the accommodation, the feeding, and all those things in that.
I think I need to go back to confirm whether accommodation is included.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay,
Because when I got here, I needed to find my own accommodation. Accommodation is not included, but I believe that if my memory serves me right, there will be a component to let you know rough idea. Maybe I
okay,
may have
okay.
to go back to check. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's great. So, how was the visa process?
The visa process. Oh my God. All right. So this was at the peak of COVID.
Okay,
So I submitted my visa application in early July, first week of July, and the earliest July 2021. Let me put that in context. And I was to start my program August 2021.
wow, okay,
So the earliest date I could get was September 2022.
wow, okay,
Yes. So I wrote to the university, this is a challenge I'm facing. I cannot be there even in December. What do you do? And then I asked them if they could allow me to start while I'm home.
okay,
And they graciously said yes. So I was able
awesome.
to start. So what I did was to apply for expedited. And it was the expedited that gave me the September.
Okay, the
Yes.
September 2022.
Yes.
Okay,
So I was constantly monitoring the website constantly. Sometimes I get blocked and I have to wait 24 hours to go inside again. And finally, I got January 2022,
okay,
January 13th. Yes. So the visa process was, apart from the period between admission letter and funding decision, the visa process was the next intense moment of my whole process. It was really intense because full of uncertainties. You never know when
okay.
and how.
And during the COVID, did you need to also have an interview for the visa process, or that part
Oh
was
yes,
scraped off?
yes,
Okay,
yes. It was the application for the visa interview. That was what delayed the whole everything.
okay.
Yes.
You had
So
to do it in person too?
yes, it was in person.
Okay. And could you share with us some of the questions they asked you for the interview?
Woo,
Do you
yes.
remember?
So
Okay.
yes, I do remember very well. It was quite brief.
Okay.
Yes. And I started praying because in the line there was a gentleman who was refused just before I was next in line.
Okay.
So I was like, oh God, let this happen.
Mm.
Yes. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do in the US? I'm going to study what level PhD. And I want to say that they have all these answers already.
Okay.
Yes, from the way he was asking the questions, I know that he knows everything about me, what I'm going to do. Are you going alone? Are you going with the family? I said I'm going alone. When you finish, what are your plans? I said, okay, I'll come back. I'll come back to Ghana. I was very serious and determined. I'll come back to Ghana. I have a family, a young family that is waiting for me. So that was done. And who is funding your trip? Then I said my employers. So I had scholarship from, I was on study leave from the University of Cape Coast.
Okay.
So the university, and then also University of Cape Coast, and then also the University of North Carolina at Greensboro.
Okay.
And so I said my employers. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was that. And they didn't ask any questions about my bank account.
Okay.
It was that was it.
Okay. That's great.
That
So
was
now
all.
let's talk about the family. Is it possible to go with your family, or like once you are there, is it possible to invite your family, and have you done that, or is it something you are considering?
Yeah. So it is possible to come with your family when you are coming.
Okay.
Yes. And so if you are going to go by that route, then you need to update your I-20
Okay.
because your I-20 takes care of just you. And
Okay.
so if you are going to bring your family dependent, then you need to declare that as well. And you need to get an updated I-20. And then I think when you are filling the DS 160, the visa application form, there is a space that asks if you are coming alone or you are going to
Okay.
come with other people. Yes, that is there. And so either you make that decision at the time you are filling your DS 160, that's a visa application form, or when you get here, when you arrive in
Okay.
the States, you can do that. So I have not gone through that process yet. I'm still in a contemplation mood. I have not
Okay.
decided what to do, but I have friends who have gone through the process and have brought their dependents.
Okay.
Yes.
And can your dependent work, or is it
So
possible for? Okay.
your dependent is coming on F2, F2
Okay.
visa. So you are F1,
Okay.
right? And your dependent will be F2. Per the regulations, F2 visas are not legally
Okay.
allowed to work.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that would be a story for another day. So now so you've gotten your visa, you've gotten into the US. Tell us, is your scholarship enough to for your day to day life, or you need to work for extra cash? How many hours are you allowed to work? Where can you work? What kind of jobs can you do once you're in the US?
All right. So my assistantship requires me to take 9 credits minimum every
Okay.
semester and also work 20 hours.
Okay.
So I was assigned to a professor in the department that I work with, and I started with 2 projects in 2021 when I joined, and now I am on 3 projects working with 2 professors. So
Okay.
I'm on 2 projects with 1 professor, right? So that is what I do. And talking about money, money will always never be enough.
Okay. Like
But
before we go to before you explain, this kind of work you are doing is not extra. It's not extra fund. It's the requirement for your assistantship, or they
yes,
give you extra money.
no, it is the
Okay.
assistantship. Yes, and that
Okay.
is what I do.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So what I'm asking is, apart from the assistantship, are you allowed to do any extra job?
You are not allowed to do any extra job.
Okay.
The F1 visa says that you can work within the university.
Okay.
If you are working outside the university, that is with approval. So,
Okay.
um, where I live, Greensboro is in Guilford County. And
Okay.
so I have mates, schoolmates, classmates, program mates who are working with the Guilford County schools, which is not within the department,
Okay.
that it's a partner with the department. And so they have approval to do that. Right.
Okay.
But if you are going to do anything outside of the specifications of your I-20,
Okay.
that is on you.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so from time to time, I think somewhere last semester in the spring, the university sent the International Student Office, they sent emails around that they have information that students are working in areas around communities around the
Okay.
university. And so be aware, if you're on F1 visa and you are caught, your visa will be revoked.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, when you say on campus jobs, because on campus jobs could be, because for you the on campus job you are doing is to become a research assistant. Let's say you are working in the cafeteria, is this allowed? Let's say you are cleaning on campus. Let's say you are doing jobs on campus but not related to research. Is this a possibility or not? Because for you have an assistantship. For students who do not have assistantship, what kind of jobs on campus can they do, or they can do anything?
I want to believe that there are opportunities on campus that students can take advantage of. And the key thing is you need approval.
Okay.
And so if it is clean, if it is cafeteria, I have not explored the requirement for doing
Okay.
those jobs. But what I know is if you are going to do anything outside the specifications of your I-20, you need approval.
Okay. So before I brought this topic, you were talking about that the money is never enough. So can you continue? I'm interested to hear
Yes.
that.
So my stipend, what I do is like I was doing in Ghana before I got here. Immediately the stipend I'm paid, I take half into savings. I don't do any extra job apart from my GA and my books. So I take half and put it away. So I created an account. It's one is a savings and one is a checking. So daily checking now you can work in and out like your savings account, and then also the other one is like your investment account, which is not investment anyway because it's not yielding anything. But just put it away, separate it from what I'll be using on continuous regular basis. So I put half of that into that account, and the remaining half I'm able to pay my rent, which is the first thing I do whenever I get my stipend. Um, I take my feeding and I put some out to eat outside, but
Okay,
I
that
essentially prepare my own food.
okay, that's great.
So that
Do you,
reduces my
okay.
expenses. Yeah.
Since you're a family man, do you need to send money back home, or the people back home understand your situation?
Yeah. So I do send money back home.
Okay.
Yes. So I told you earlier. I said earlier on that I was on steady leave from the University of
Yeah.
Cape Coast, which means that my salary is still coming in Ghana,
Okay. Okay.
which is what my family is depending on.
Okay.
But that also takes care of my mother. But from time to time, I do send something to other as and when cases may require. But it is not kind of every month I have to send money because I have taken care of that already.
Okay. This is great, and this conversation is very refreshing because most people is like they live hand to mouth. So it's because I also just like you, like I put some cash aside every month for like my future, and I've actually not really met somebody who does the same thing. So it's really nice to have this conversation with them. It's really nice that there are people who always think about the future and not just the present. So now let's talk about like so the people who want to apply. There's this notion that there's not really a lot of funding or scholarship in non-STEM fields. What are your thoughts and what are your advice for others who are in non-STEM and who plan to study abroad?
Yeah, so usually I have been spending some time, a lot of time on Twitter. That's the main social media platform, and LinkedIn, that is where I normally go. And consistently, I see professors posting, we have opening in our department, we have this, we have that, we have this, we have that. And the caption I add is professors are looking for students, students are looking for professors.
Professors.
There
Okay.
is a call. Who will answer? Right.
Okay.
So I never knew my school would have waived the GRE.
Okay.
I never knew there was scholarship. If you don't ask, you don't know. I before I got my I applied to UNCG. I had really wanted to go to one particular university because while I was reading around, attending workshops, that was the name that was coming up, Western Michigan University, and they had this interdisciplinary PhD in evaluation. So it's like that is where I want to be. It's a great place, but also GRE,
Hmm.
right? I didn't know. So last year I was at the American Evaluation Association conference and I met another Ghanaian student who was there.
Okay.
So we were talking and I told him how I really wanted to get into that program, but after reading the requirements, I was like, GRE, GRE, no way. And he said, but you could have asked. I said, yeah, that was what I didn't do. So always ask. If you don't ask, you don't know. And I have been saying that after going through this experience, what I've been telling people and friends is that it doesn't hurt. The worst reply you can get is I'm sorry,
I
no.
know.
And how much does it cost to send an email? I mean, so people go out there, ask questions. You get answers. If you don't ask, you never find out.
Right.
Right.
And I want to piggyback on what you said. And when it comes to email, it's also very important that you learn how to write an email. I receive a lot of emails from people because of the work I do on this channel, and some of the emails are nothing to write home about. Some people can send email where the whole body of the message is in the title, so there's nothing in the body of the message, like the whole thing is in the title. The way people ask for things is very, very important that you also learn how to send emails. And the beauty about this whole process is you get to learn a lot. Like, just take this as a learning environment. Take advantages of all the opportunities that come your way and become a better person, because graduate school is really tough. So I'll leave that to you. How has your experience been like in graduate school?
It's been fantastic.
Oh wow, nice. Okay.
Yes, so the department is full of wonderful human beings.
Okay.
And we are, if you talk about multicultural diversity, we are very diverse. Very,
Okay.
very, from faculty to students, very diverse student group and very wonderful people. So, even before I got into the program, I had current students who invited me to collaborate with them on a conference presentation. And that was my first shot after meeting the professor and the first student into the department. And then also, when you get into the program in your first year, we have a workshop. We call it OS. It's an office of um, Office of Educational Research, that we organize weekly meetings to give students smooth transitioning. So we talk about work-life balance, time management, self-care, right? So you are in this space with a good combination of continuing students and new students, international students and citizens who are sharing their experiences. It is an open space where you are free to be yourself. And you can walk up to any professor. They will even call you to chat with you. Right. So the space is really friendly, really good, and teamwork. Right. I always say that you can't carry the load alone. And so finding somebody who thinks like you, works like you, is really good to give you that smooth transitioning. And so that is how my transition has been like. It was working with people, getting to know more people, talking to people.
Okay. And that's great. If do you have any final words? But if not, if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
So I am available to chat with folks. My Twitter handle is at gkenny40. Okay, if I
Okay.
remember.
G Kenny 40.
Yeah, gkenny40
Okay.
is there.
So I would leave that in the comments. I'll leave that on the screen so people who want to reach out to you can do that. I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been nice time having you. I'm going to ask my last question, then we can call it a day. What are your plans after school?
Once after school fits into my personal philosophy, my teaching philosophy, my research philosophy is that have a good blend of professional experience and academic experience. And so I want to practice as an evaluator and also
Okay.
teach evaluation.
Where?
Where that is an interesting question that is subject to time and chance
Okay.
and
Okay.
preparation. And so where I'm still preparing myself for life after school
Hmm.
and also whatever will come my way.
Okay. Uh, and thank you, and it's been nice having you. I hope to see you again on this channel, but to
Very much.
hear from us again. Bye.